What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another breakdown for American Horror Story. This is Freak Show.
Yes, and today we will be breaking down episode 2. There are spoilers, of course, so beware. It is called Massacres and Matinees.
Dream a little dream of me. Okay, let's start things off. Right at the beginning, we have a radio broadcast from the boys in blue are out for blood. So they're looking for that detective.
Yeah, and we knew exactly how episode 1 ended, that there are going to be some major consequences, specifically in the Freak Show community.
Also, the killing spree still going on.
Right, so Twisty's still on his tear, and they're going to look for like a scapegoat, basically, right? So we knew this didn't bode well for anyone at the Freak Show. No.
Jesus. Who's the proprietor of this freak show?
So when the cops show up, the first thing they do is they look around and just go, oh my God, what's going on? Like, and they ask, like, who's in charge of the freak show?
Yep.
And from there, they meet Elsa, and we have a cool moment where the Tatler twins are in the room, and one of them's like biting on their fingers or something, and let's just like put down the hand.
Yeah, you don't want to look suspicious when the cops are around, right? Which then you realize exactly, you know, how involved the Tatler twins onto the murder of their mother. But the whole feeling here is that the cops it mirrors how society is treating the freak show, right? The cops are not very nice or kind to any of these people within the community of the sideshow.
We got a stack of murders and a missing cop, though. So expect to get to know us.
So the big news dump that we get out of this whole exchange between the cops and Elsa is that they're putting on a curfew, and they're still looking for the killer, but they are surrounding the freak show in a way that they think they may know who it is.
Right, they're putting almost like a microscope over the freak show to kind of figure out who exactly might be involved. But remember, this directly affects the freak show, right? Because they have like evening performances, night performances. That's where they rake in a lot of their money. So by doing this curfew, by putting this in across the whole town, like, you're really hurting Elsa and how they're going to make money, right? They hence the massacres and matinees, which we come back to later on. But this directly affects everyone that's trying to make a living.
Granted, the cops and also probably most of the community, because of the murders, they don't give a damn about the show.
No,
they're like, find the killer. We don't give a damn about this.
Clear, yeah, obviously. Then we get to this pretty incredible like slasher sequence from Twisty the Clown, right? That kind of introduces him into this episode and the cold open of this episode. Pretty cool. He goes back to the Hanley Toy Shop. That name will come up in later episodes. But there's an awesome shot of the poor guy coming back to bring Hanley his coffee. And Twisty's there kind of standing with the other clown statues.
2 cats screaming behind him.
And then it's Halloween, you know, behind all the Halloween decorations are up. And basically the kid follows this blood trail and finds out a head on the
That whole shop is a whole bunch of nope for me. The dolls inside of there, and then the blood. I'm like, okay, yes, just get it over with. Kill him. I thought it was a great kill, by the way.
It was pretty awesome as he kind of steps back into the knife. Twisty doesn't have to do anything really, so you just like hold the knife up and goes through his throat. I mean, a pretty epic kill, and just a really good like horror sequence. I mean, you knew what was going to happen to the kid immediately, but I like how it was shot.
Now, moving back to Jimmy for a minute, he's close to a nervous breakdown at this point. They just murdered a detective the night before, and the freaks are having a little bit of a celebration, and he's not having it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes to show just exactly how against his human nature that was for him to do that in the first place.
He says he's never killed anyone.
Never killed anyone before, so he says, and it just didn't seem like him when he kind of let his emotions get the best of him, right, and slashed the guy's throat. Like, it just was totally out of character, and we've
only seen him for 1 episode.
True.
This is
true. But the way that he's reacting to how it's gone down and kind of the consequences of the kill, you can tell that it's kind of weighing him down quite a bit.
Yes, it is. So Jimmy decides to dig up the body of the detective with the help of Paul and Eve, Amazon Eve. And the big thing you get out of this is the badge. So Chekhov's badge. You're like, I wonder what's going to happen here with
Exactly.
this.
Right when you see this happening, you're like, oh my God, that's going to come back to bite someone in the ass because someone's going to find that evidence, the one thing that couldn't be burned. Well, they do make a mention of, hey, we'll melt it down.
Take it, look at the river, and chuck that out.
Yeah, but eventually someone might find that. I mean, you have the right idea when you want to melt down that badge, but still, that's the only evidence that ties
you gotta
the
get
murder
that thing
on
out of there.
Yeah, you do. You got to get it out of there. Get it on. How would you get rid of it?
hey, I don't know. That's the thing too. I'm like, you gotta melt it, but then where are you gonna take that thing? You gotta move. You just gotta get that thing in your pocket and run. Get it out of town.
So Greg would get away with murder.
I would not.
Now over to the Mott family residence. Greg, this seems like a fantastic place to spend a Sunday just hanging out. No?
There's a lot.
Yes, there's a lot happening here.
A lot to take in. If you just showed up, like you walked in the house and someone's watching American Horror Story, and then they just see like Dandy Mott. He's got a bottle. He puts cognac in it, I think.
Yeah.
And from there, you're seeing like Patti LaBelle. Is that Patti LaBelle? Just walking by the screen.
Yeah.
And then he's just having a full-on brat attack.
Yeah, he's completely spoiled little brat. Doesn't get his way. He throws tantrums. He's a baby inside an adult body.
Yes.
And his mom will do almost anything to appease him. He's the worst.
Where are you going?
I don't know. Maybe St. Petersburg, where they have real caramel corn. Not that cardboard they sell at the freak show.
So Dandy and Gloria have a little tiny exchange, and we know that he has a pretty sketchy past, and she's already covering stuff up for him from the police.
Yeah, definitely he's a troubled sociopath, and he's done some things. I mean, there's allusions to like him killing cats in the neighborhood and having to bury the animals' bodies.
Well,
in
Dora
the
brings
backyard.
that up.
Yeah.
She's like, she gives her the heads up, like the second he walks out the room,
Right.
that, hey, I've noticed some like, hairy like parts of things, and people are missing their cats, and then the people are, and also the murders are going on.
Yeah.
So maybe, you might want to check this out. Gloria's not having it.
Yeah, Dandy's kind of like Michael Langdon in that sense, right? He has got a little bit of Michael Langdon in him. Not quite the Antichrist, but like, he's an evil person.
He says he wants to go to St. Petersburg just to get their caramel corn because he doesn't like the stuff that they have out here in Jupiter. She should have just told him to go. That's like a what? I understand the time period might be a little rough for him to get down there, but that's like a 4-hour drive. She could have just said, just leave, go.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Seriously.
Next up, we meet Dell Toledo, the world's strongest man, and Desiree Dupree, played by Michael Chiklis, and of course, the great Angela Bassett.
As far as we're concerned, this might as well be the Garden of Eden.
So said the snake.
Now, right after you hear those words about the snake, the very first shot of Dell in the corner, you can see a little cobra pointing right at him.
Nice little touch there.
Nah.
Yeah, and that we learned that there's a kind of a troubled backstory between these two as well, right?
Yep.
Everyone has a shady past in American Horror Story. We know this. Apparently, Dell might have done something really horrible to someone that was sleeping with Desiree.
Yes, murder.
And now they're kind of on the run. I like how they touched on like different freak shows here, different side shows they were working on. They were in Chicago. Now I looked this up, the Giuseppe. It's not an actual slideshow back in the day, but he does mention that he studied under Hardin, Harry Houdini's younger brother.
Theodore.
Which is a real life person. Theodore Houdini did perform in some of these sideshows. So a cool little touch there, and it kind of gives both the introduction of these two characters give a more kind of diving into that carny kind of feeling and the themes that we've come accustomed to, the strongman. Desiree with the three-breasted
Total Recall
vibes immediately as soon as I saw that. But
of course.
It was a fun little nod to kind of the themes that go around with all these type of carnival shows and movies.
So not only does Desiree have 3 breasts, she's also a hermaphrodite. She has male and female parts, and these people can put on a show.
Yes, they have experience.
Yes, Dell and Desiree have a lot of experience, so they can put on any kind of show. They'll do whatever they want. We learned in this episode she can play the piano, but at the same time, Elsa's not having it. She knows there's something sketchy going on in his past. She doesn't want anything to do with it, but he begs.
Yeah.
This is his last chance here.
Yeah, and immediately when they do join the freak show that there's going to be a little bit of a power dynamic at bay here, right? With new people kind of getting into Elsa's show, new faces, the Tatler twins, Jimmy having like a stronger presence. Like Elsa's control isn't going to be as stronghold as it was previously, right? There's a lot more people kind of fighting for positions within her hierarchy. So it's going to make it a little more difficult for her to kind of really take control.
So what does she do? The person she doesn't really trust, she gives him the job of security. Cool.
Strong hands, calloused, and not afraid of hard work.
Not afraid of anything.
Maybe what this place needs is a strong male presence.
So Greg, what do you buy the child that has everything as a gift? What do you get him?
An Amazon gift card.
No, Greg, you give him Twisty the Clown.
That's fine.
Yeah, Gloria Mott is just driving down the highway and picks up Twisty the Clown. This is the...
Okay.
I don't know how she pulled it off, to be honest. I don't know why he didn't kill her immediately. I don't know what she said to, convince him to get inside her car.
This is the first sign that there's more to Twisty than we first think. He's not just a slasher killer.
Right.
There's more to this character that we're going to find out later on. But this is the first sign.
Yeah, he's a complex clown. He doesn't just want to kill everything. There's something else going on underneath that. And Gloria brings him home because she has no other options to turn to. She's trying to appease and help out her bickering, tantrum, spoiled little bratty son, and she brings him home a clown.
Cool. Speaking of Dandy, meanwhile, he's back at the freak show. He's talking to Jimmy. He wants a job there. He wants to go to the freak show. He wants to get out of that house.
Yep.
And he brings up Cole Porter, that he knows the canon for Cole Porter. That makes sense because Cole Porter was also someone who came from a very wealthy background and wanted to do something in the arts and music. And so now, Dandy's trying to do the exact same thing as a carbon copy. He's a thespian. He wants to, branch out.
Totally. And Dandy's doing his best in order to convince Jimmy that he's one of them, that he's a freak, that he has this great gift to kind of share in the performance. But Jimmy is like, hey, you should be thankful for what you have and be grateful for the life that you live, and don't try to force yourself into someone that you're not, and be someone that you're not. He basically he doesn't want anything to do with Dandy. He doesn't think Dandy is.
Jimmy wants what Dandy has.
Exactly.
Right now, too,
yeah, he wants that normal life. He wants some semblance of a normal life and a normal, which is far from normal. I mean, Dandy's and his family are completely twisted, but Jimmy, kind of isn't happy with kind of Dandy's outlook on life. And wanting to just be a part of the freak show. So he says basically no, you got to get out of here. And Dandy again throws a tantrum.
I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. So Twisty's waiting in his room and just Gloria brings in Dandy and here you go, bye, close the door on him. Cool.
Greg, what would your reaction be if someone just opened the door and said, hey, Greg, look what I got you?
I don't remember much after that because I probably would have blinked out. It would have been a blur at that point, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm shocked that Twisty, again, he reacts pretty calmly and just is standing there and doesn't immediately kill anybody. He definitely finds Dandy fascinating, or the family fascinating at some point.
He thought he had a job. I think he really thought he was just there as a clown because no one hired him as a clown. We find out later on, spoiler, but I think he just thought, I actually get to perform for someone.
Almost like he was back in the day, just performing for a group of kids.
Yeah.
And doing what he loved to do, right? Just be an entertainer. Now he's being asked to entertain, but he doesn't really know exactly what he's getting into.
So back at the freak show, Ethel approaches Dell, and we find out that Jimmy is Dell's son.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised to find this out, right? I didn't know immediately.
Quick montage.
They dropped this quickly, but I had no idea that Dell Toledo would have been Jimmy's father there. You don't really know much of the backstory until this moment, right, about Jimmy and Ethel. But yeah, Ethel and Dell had a fling. They were together. They had Jimmy, but Dell wanted to kill him. Was not a father at all. Was horrible. Yeah, tried to smother him when he was young.
I'm gonna save you a lot of pain.
I never want to see you ever again.
I wonder why Ethel didn't say anything to Elsa about this whole situation.
Right, before you hire this guy as security.
Yeah.
You should know this thing about Dell. He tried to kill my son, and he's not a good person, et cetera, but it complicates this ongoing power struggle here now, right? Because we find out that he is the father, but he is a horrible, horrible person, and it's just going to complicate how he interacts with Jimmy himself and how Ethel kind of oversees everything.
She put me in charge of the whole place. Your friend, Miss Elsa, simply pointed out, security around this place is a little lax. Wouldn't want nothing wandering in or wandering out.
I love this character because I can tell he's putting on a facade. He's putting on an act himself, and we can see the second that Ethel leaves the room, he's just like, oh God.
Yeah.
Every time he's got to put it up, like the world's strongest man, so he's always always got to be tough.
But he's nothing like that, and he's
not
nothing like that at all. Yeah.
Even the moment where he begs to Elsa, or he's real with her, I think there's a lot more to this character than what we see so far. So Elsa and Desiree are helping out a little rehearsal for the Tatler twins, and Bet, she's not a good singer.
No, Bet has no
range.
I mean, she sings better than me. Let's put it that way. Like, but still, she's not great. And finally, like Jimmy convinces her to for Dot to sing and show us what she has. And Dot kind of blows the whole group away, right? Mm-hmm. But the key thing here is that Elsa, regardless of how amazing these twins are, right, and what they could bring to the freak show, and kind of the popularity that they could and the money they could rake in, she still considers herself like the headliner.
She sees our star fading for some reason.
But she still is holding on to that and thinks that she literally is the headline act, and everyone around her is like, no. The twins should be the ones headlining this whole thing. You have no idea what you're talking about, but she will not let it go. It's pretty interesting how she treats everyone differently in the freak show itself, right? Like
profit.
Elsa,
it's all for profit.
It's all for profit. So like Elsa, like she might put on this front that she cares about a lot of these freaks, right? But she also knows everyone's place in there and kind of like what they can provide for her. No. It's not about like the love that she has all the time.
Dream a little dream of me.
So Dell comes in and he tells everyone they're going to have a matinee, 3 p.m. show, and Elsa is not having it.
I like how Dell just assumes like he's supposed to be like in charge of security, and then he's just like kind of like producing the whole thing, right? Yeah. He thinks like he's like in charge now, and he's calling all the shots, and he's like, okay, we're gonna have matinees since the curfew's in place. They can't have evening performances. But Elsa's like, absolutely not. Like
you're hurting the integrity of the show.
Yeah, the whole allure of the freak show is the fantasy of the nighttime performance, right? Mm-hmm. That kind of brings out the mysteries and the kind of the things that people go to the freak shows in the first place.
Yes.
So she's like, basically, you're taking away all the power of the freak show by doing it in the middle of the broad daylight.
Unfortunately, they have no money and they have to keep this thing going. So Dell's just trying to come up with a plan here to make sure they can keep this going a little bit longer. Back at Dandy's place, he's doing a little puppet show for Twisty.
King and I.
The et cetera, et cetera.
I saw the show on opening night, and then every night for a week. Yul Brynner was transcendent. Etc., etc., etc.
All right, that's cool. At the same time, Twisty's just there. He doesn't kill anybody, but then Dandy gets a little too curious. He checks inside Twisty's bag.
Which probably has a human head inside that bag, right?
Yep. And Twisty just knocks him in the back of the head.
Yeah, it doesn't kill him. I was surprised. No. It doesn't kill him. He kind of almost feels bad for the guy, maybe. He just kind of knocks him down and just kind of books it. He just wants to get the hell out of that house. Yeah. He's like, this is even worse than what I expected.
Goodbye.
I need to go back to my headquarters in the woods in the bus.
So next up, Jimmy takes the freaks out to dinner, and it doesn't go well at all, as one would expect at this time period.
Yeah, it shows you exactly the segregation between the freaks and all the normal folks in this town, right? As soon as they show up, no one really wants to serve them. They're all uncomfortable. They don't really have an open mind. We know the time period, right? So you can assume that everyone's kind of just being mistreated. All the freaks that show up just for food, they just want to be treated like everyone else. And then Dell shows up and kind of interrupts the whole thing, right? Because he's all about making that money. He has that Elsa mentality.
Only thing on his mind right now is
so
profit.
He's basically like, if if you're out here doing this to the regular people, like they're never going to want to come. They're never going to come out to the freak show and actually pay money to see a show. So he gets physical here. He kicks Jimmy's ass outside in front of everybody.
Yes, he does. Not only does he kick his ass, all the freaks are watching, and they're like, okay, buddy, we're gonna remember this for the future.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this goes.
There's also a couple cool shots of the reactions of the people inside the diner. Very much the similar of what we saw of Bet and Dot in the first episode, how they frame up the faces. I enjoyed that touch. And also, remember, this is the first official introduction of Pepper, who we know from, of course, AHS Asylum.
Yes.
In this season, we're going back in time, and we kind of see the origins of Pepper and how kind of her family before she went to the asylum.
It was harmless.
She's not harmless. She drowned her sister's baby and sliced his ears off. Follow me, miss.
So Dandy follows Twisty back to his hideout.
Even after getting hit in the head, he's like, I like that clown. Something that clown.
I like his gym. From there, we see Twisty's soft side, I guess. He's got a softer side with these kids.
Yeah,
he tries.
Like you said earlier, he's not just this cold-blooded killer. There seems to be some other thing kind of eating at him and changing, determining how he reacts with certain people. Like, he doesn't outright he almost wants to have an audience. He wants to save these children and bring them to his own place and kind of put on a show for them.
Just don't trigger him.
Just trigger him. Just kind of, let him do his thing and kind of just be quiet. That's what I would do in this situation.
I'm like, I can't even blink around you, dude. So they bust out for a second, but Dandy's right there to help Twisty bring him right back to his little fantasy bus.
Yeah, and then now this is the dynamic duo of Twisty and Dandy.
Has begun.
That are just gonna wreak havoc and just start killing a whole bunch of people, probably. Are there any two more terrifying people in this franchise?
No, it's the new Tango and Cash.
Yeah, you don't know shit.
That brings us to the matinee show. Now, against Elsa's wishes, they kind of have to put on a show during the middle of the day because they got to make some money, right? So the Tatler twins are a huge hit. Again, Elsa is just not happy with this, but they perform Fiona Apple's Criminal, which of course Greg was released in 1996, but it's 1952 in the show.
It's okay, subjective.
How does this work?
It's all good.
Do they go back to the future? How did this?
Just the show.
Okay. Anyways, so contemporary music. And the thing here is that it's spot on, right? Criminal?
Yeah.
I mean, criminal.
Choice.
Tatler twins.
Yeah.
Criminals.
There's a little mosh pit going on too. Someone's jumping in. I liked it.
Oh, help me, but don't tell me to deny it. I've got to cleanse myself of all these lies till I'm good enough for him.
So there's a standing ovation for the Tatler twins, and Elsa is just completely not happy with this. But hey, you should be positive. This is good. People are enjoying and having a good time.
No, but instead she decides to go to the Tatler twins' room at night, and what does she do? She gives Bet a knife. Why?
Let me see what you have. A knife!
No!
She's basically trying to pit them against each other.
But they can read each other's thoughts.
Right, so I don't know why.
So she's got to be careful.
Yeah, how do you turn them against each other? I mean, they're in the same room together and they can hear what's going on. Anyways, Elsa, your plan is horrible.
So the cops show up the next day. They had a tip. That tip is from Jimmy Darling.
Yep.
We find out later on, and it looks like Jimmy tried to plant the evidence of that badge that we saw earlier in Dell's trailer.
Yeah, Jimmy had a good plan there, to try to frame Dell because he had a problem with Dell.
Destroy the badge.
Yeah, I would have done the same thing, but and we spoke earlier about Jimmy having a hard time kind of dealing with being a murderer, right? But then he goes around and just wants to frame someone for that same murder. Jimmy.
Well, Dell kicked his ass, so I think
that's a good point. Yeah, he wants some revenge on Dell. But and Dell's been making things a little bit hard and challenging for a lot of the people that were a part of the freak show before, right? Yep. So his wise idea is to get Dell arrested for the murder. But Dell is pretty on top of this, and he catches him in the act. And basically, while the cops show up, he had already pretty planned out to frame another person for this murder, and that turns out to be Meep.
Poor Meep.
Poor Meep. I mean, this is horrible. I mean, Meep would just walking around doing his own thing.
They have him in the costume, and they take him down to the jail. I'm like, oh, come on. They even say early on, there's no way he's the mastermind.
Right.
But we're gonna give him a few minutes in the, in the cell, see how he takes on interrogations or anything. No, it's not.
Pretty aggressive cell right there. That he was instantly attacked by all the inmates there.
I like that shot of the black silhouette. You just see the eyeball and
everyone is crowded.
I heard they found the toy store owner with his fingers missing. How about I rip yours off one by one?
Now, back at the freak show at night, Jimmy is completely distraught. He's in even darker depths of his despair than he was before after just killing the detective, right? Meep's been taken off to prison, and he's kind of sharing a one-on-one conversation with Ethel, and he just can't believe where he's kind of, what's happened, you know, and the consequences that he's had after just kind of getting a little over-emotional and killing that detective. So now one of his good friends and someone that he kind of took care of and took under his wing is now in prison.
He has a badge. Even if he didn't kill those people, he knows who did. At night in the tank, you'll name names.
And then moments later, it looks like probably even that night, the police dump the body back at the freak show. And now Jimmy is just full-on distraught at this point because he believes this is his fault. It's not his, he didn't kill Meat. It's not his fault in that sense, but he knows that it's the trail of events that transpired. Probably wouldn't have went down this way had he just destroyed that badge.
All right, time now to pick out our favorite moments of the episode. What do you think is your absolute favorite moment? I'm guessing it's nothing with Twisty.
Oh, kinda it is, actually. Again, 2 weeks in a row. This is the puppet show. I like the little puppet show.
Nice.
It's ridiculous. And then I also like the little lines that Dandy gives to Twisty, like, oh, amuse me. We know where that's from.
Could use a little diversion. Amuse me, clown.
Funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you? I make you laugh?
Finn Wittrock is just incredible in this performance. So anytime you can get kind of his zaniness and just
he's such a
his
brat.
temper tantrums, it's really good on screen. My favorite, I'm gonna cheat a little bit here. I really enjoyed the performance, the matinee performance. I thought it was really good how it was shot, the kind of slow-mo of the mosh pit and the twins singing, and then finally, you know, you see Bet, who can't really sing, and she kind of joins in as a background singer. I thought it was awesome. But I really, my absolute favorite has to be the cold open with Twisty, and just how they shot that whole thing in the toy store. I said it earlier, but like the shot of him kind of standing up there with the two mannequins of the clowns side by side, and then you see the boy walking across the frame, you just knew it was gonna end poorly for him.
Okay, that's it for us over here, everybody. Let us know what you thought of this episode in the comment section down below.
Yeah, hit us up and let us know your favorite moments from episode 2. And like always, we will be back here every single week with a new breakdown from Freak Show. See you guys soon.
Bye-bye.